In truth, nothing can dim your magnificence. You are a divine spark, a universal light. You are here on purpose. You are part of a divine plan. And it's our joy to support you. We're here to celebrate you. Welcome to Angel Heart Radio. Powered by love, Angel Heart Radio is brought to you by angellight777.com. Have you joined us on our Angel Heart Radio Facebook page? You can join the conversation simply by adding your comments on any of our live streams. We'd love to connect with you. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Angel Heart Radio. We're thrilled, as always, to spend some more time with you. And we've got a fantastic, wonderful topic today for you, and that is deliberate joy, making joy a priority in all of our lives. So important, Carol Anne.
It is. Good morning, Anayah. Good morning, everybody. Good evening, everybody, whatever it is. So I'm so glad you could be here with us today, and we're looking forward to sharing this topic with all of you.
It's a really important topic. I mean, Carol Anne and I have been talking about this. We get together or on the phone or whatever through the week and really discuss what it is, what our hearts are calling us to share with you. We've had so much validation from the universe, haven't we, about this topic and how important it is for us all.
It certainly is important for us all.
Okay, so a little bit of housekeeping.
Yep.
Sorry, John.
No, you're right. Go ahead.
Go fast.
No, go ahead.
A little bit of housekeeping, everyone. Angel Heart Radio programs are not designed to replace your legal, medical, or any professional advice, nor your own sound judgment and your beautiful divine wisdom. It's really important that you remember that we're here to support you, not tell you how to live your life. And all our opinions are our opinions. So if something doesn't sit well with you, that's fine. Just leave it aside, and I'm sure there'll be a lot that you'll really enjoy. And we want to welcome all our podcast listeners as well, because our shows get turned into podcasts as well after the live stream. So if you'd like to join us on our live stream, head on over to our Facebook page, like us and follow us, and then you'll get notifications about all the wonderful shows that are coming up live. Housekeeping done.
Housekeeping done. And on with the program. On with the program.
So I've pulled a card. I did it again. You go.
It's so important for all of us, this topic today, because it's all about bringing happiness, making happiness, your happiness, a priority. And you can do this by bringing joy and happiness into your life, because that's just so important. And so
it's that deliberate joy, isn't it?
It is. It's a deliberate joy. And the dictionary message of what joy is a feeling of great pleasure and happiness. And that's what we want to bring into all of our lives. You know, it helps us to get through the day, and it gets through with our life. And it's not that hard. Some days we may have some ups and downs, and now they're tickling my nose. We might have some ups and downs, but, you know, it's all good. It's all good.
The really interesting thing for me is some days joy, people think that I'm joyful all the time, like I just, race around sprinkling petals. Well, I don't. And some days joy is a challenge for me as well. So this is why deliberate joy is really important, and realizing, and interestingly, I don't know whether you caught Annette's show with Janet McCoy, with Janet Hickox this morning. And Janet was talking about astrological events and what we might expect in 2021 from the astrology point of view. And Janet touched on this very subject and why joy is a feeling and not a thought and not something we strive for. So if you didn't get a chance to watch that, it will be a podcast later if you'd like to hear it. But of course, it's also on our Facebook page and YouTube channel as well. So it's the layering. Everything is actually created in layers. And I can't remember who I heard share this when I was still in the deep grief for my parents. And when I heard that everything is created in layers, and it's experienced in layers. So that's why there are certain times that joy is going to be easy to tap into, to experience, to share. And then other times we'll be going through other experiences and challenges in our lives. And joy may be more difficult because we may be in a thought process, we may be in grief, we may be feeling very challenged. And Carol Anne, I don't know about you, but when I'm feeling challenged, I tend to leave my heart center very quickly and go straight up to my thinking mind, to my head. It's a cerebral experience.
Yeah, I do too. And this is where, to be a joyful individual sometimes takes a bit of commitment, so that if you feel yourself moving out of your heart center and moving up into your head, to know, that make the commitment that this is not where you want to be, because a joyful life is the best existence that we can ever hope to achieve, because it's the kind of life that produces positive vibes and pure good energy. And let's face it, that's what we all need each and every day. And, this encourages us to look to the future, because joy, even though sometimes it might just seem like a fleeting moment, but it's not a fleeting moment, because when we decide to live in a joyful life, then it's with us all the time, even if it's just sort of pushed to the backbone or background every now and again. It's something that we can build within us, so that we can choose to live that joyful life.
Absolutely. Just saying hello to everyone in the message section. Now, if you guys would like to add your comments, maybe share your thoughts, please join us on our Angel Heart Radio Facebook page and add those in the comment section of the live stream, because we can see them and then we can make that a part of the show, which is wonderful. Now, with joy and deliberate joy, the definition of, there are several definitions, because we've got the adjective and the verb, are done consciously and intentionally, careful and unhurried. And sometimes we do have to take a step back, don't we? And we have to carefully consider where our intention and our consideration is going. We may be very caught up in our day-to-day activities. Perhaps we're caught up in an argument we've had or a disagreement. Perhaps there's some unfinished business that is on our mind because we know we need to finish that up, right? Engage in long and careful consideration. So when we engage, we're actually entering a relationship with our choice, with our decision-making process. And that's a really empowering place, Carol Anne, for us all.
It really is. And then it's about making room in our life to be able to bring in the positive and the happy and the life-affirming feelings and emotions that we all have. And let's face it, sometimes, we do push them aside because life happens. But life is happening because that's what we're meant to experience here in this lifetime. And so that's always, really, really a challenge at times. But, we can step up to that challenge because, joy, the feeling and emotion of joy is a perfect barometer for where we are in our life. So, and it's about recognizing what brings joy to our lives. And then, if we're in a situation that might not be joyful, then, as you said before, a step back, think about, okay, what is the reasoning for what's happening? How can I embrace this in a loving and joyful way to completely change the energy that it is?
Absolutely. And again, that's where we get the power of choice. And I didn't realize what a superpower it really is until I started really working with the angels, with the angel code. And as I started to journey into their words, I really began to look, one of the main themes in it is about choice. This is an incredible reflection on how powerful choice is and how we are gifted, each and every one of us, with the power of choice. Often we feel that we don't have choice. Often we feel that we are caught up or swept along. Many times we feel that we may be a victim to something. Our choice has been taken away. And there are certain circumstances where you really understand that, right? You don't have a choice about certain things. But what we always have a choice about is where we're going to flow our energy and what we're going to put that energy into. And sometimes the hardest thing, and hello there, gorgeous Marcy. Sometimes the hardest thing of all is to make the choice to disengage, do nothing, right? Wow, huge. That's a biggie for me.
That is a huge, absolutely huge one. And you know, it's just one of these things that joy doesn't just happen to us. We have to choose joy, and we have to keep choosing it every day, because some days, you know, you wake up, a good thing to do when you wake up in the morning is to tune into all of your senses, you know, open up your senses and allow them to be with you, but to also show you the world, because our intuitive senses are just so amazing. But, you know, there's a really interesting saying is that you cannot cure the world of sorrow, but we can choose to live a life in joy. And I think that that's so important for all of us. We all have sorrow and heartbreak and all of those things within our lives. It's about how we react to it and the emotion that we use when we react to it. That, you know, when we react with love and joy, then that can bring us. We can't change anyone else, but we can change ourselves. We can change the way we feel and the way we react to everything that's happening. And yes, you know, Marcy, there is so much going on here to even think that way right now. But that's when we, as Anayah said, we need to disengage and we need to step back and not get caught up in this rolling energy that's out there. Because if we allow ourselves to get caught up in that negative or unhappy energy, then that's not helping us. It's not helping our soul, and it's not helping our physical self. And so even if it's a situation that you can't see it with love, then just let it go. Don't hang on to it. You don't have to get caught up in it. It will keep on rolling on without you. And so just step back and disengage and allow it to pass you by. So just stand in your power. You know, we all have this amazing power within us that we can stand within our power and just let it all go by.
Absolutely. And that choice is so much more powerful than I think we actually realize at the time, because it's the layers. We're actually making a layered choice here about what it is we're choosing to do. So we're choosing not to engage or to disengage. We're choosing to refocus. We're choosing to come or ask or find a way or be willing at least to come into some sort of center with it, coming back to breath. Going outside, and Janet again on the show with Annette this morning spoke about exactly why it helps to get outside and go for a walk around the block instead of engaging, right? And she spoke about the waves and how that works. And I didn't realize until I heard her put it into words, and that was much more toward the end of the show, but I just didn't get it until she put it into such simple terms. I knew it worked.
Yep.
But I didn't understand the simplicity of it. So there's another thing that we can do. We can then choose to change the power of our words. There are times where, look, I got quite a bit of fire in my chart, people. And I tell you what, there are times I really have to stop myself and not just spark into an energy. And that sometimes I'm more successful at it than other times. It's been a journey. It will continue to be a journey, I'm sure. But I have noticed, Carol Anne, that it makes such a powerful difference, because I'm not then, like you were saying, in this rolling energy that swept me up and just carried me along, and I'm tumbling along with it, and then other things are being said and done, and then I'm reacting, and it's exhausting, actually.
It is
But
exhausting.
to just, this is a really good one here. Does this include a spouse? Marcy wants to know. So every day I try to see something happy. Does what include the disengaging, Marcy? If you can let us know.
She's talking about the comment before that was, I'm struggling but working slowly at mental illness and isolation, including curfews in Canada. So every day I try to see something happy. Does that include a spouse?
Can to disengage.
Yeah. Please give an example of how you were experiencing non-joyful moments and turning it into joyful feelings to disengaged.
It's very, very true. So Amelia asks for the example. Absolutely.
Oh, sorry, Amelia.
And we'll do that, Amelia. It's really important, even with, particularly I would say with your spouse and your family, it's important to disengage from the conversation. And that's not easy to do because we've got a lot of things going on, right? We've got we feel we are right for a start.
Yeah.
And when we feel we are right, we want to be heard and we want to get our point across. And that really is a point of power right there, because when we realize, this is where I'm at. So that's a combative energy. When we're in that combative energy, what the result is going to be. What do you think, Marcy? When you're in a combat situation with someone, we're in competition. Well, someone's got to be right, someone's got to be wrong. So to say, and this can be tricky, and it does definitely take practice, to say, you know what, I'd really like to resolve this with you in a much more peaceful way. I think I'm just going to take a walk. I'm going to go outside for a while. I'm going to make a cuppa. I'm just going to calm down because I don't want to have an argument with you. I'd really like to get a better communication style going with you. Then get yourself on Google or something. How to communicate when I'm feeling combative, for an example. There's so much help and assistance out there. There's so much available. There's your choice. You're activating your power to disengage, right? But you're also activating your power of choice to say, I want to do this in a different way. I don't know how, but I'm going to learn. Okay, I just put my hand out and he knows to stop talking. But even that is combative. Stop it right now. You can see the difference if I just do that, or if I just take a step back, take a breath and say, look, I'm just going to step out of it for a minute. And I'm not saying they're the right words for you. I'm not saying it's the right way for you. But when someone feels they are not allowed to speak, they then begin to build up resentment. And resentment then begins to build more combat, because that person has a deep need to feel heard like we do. Carol Anne?
Yeah, so my way of dealing with that is that I usually just say, well, that is your point of view and you're entitled to your point of view, and I don't necessarily agree with it. And so then I just say, okay, so let's just leave this for the moment. And I don't like to argue. Now, I'm a Scorpio, so when I was very young, arguing was quite a big, I was very, very strong, and I was very, very much that I had to be right. And so, which is really part of a big learning curve for me. But see, I will go out and I will walk out amongst the trees. I will walk out into the garden. But I let it be known that I don't agree with what you're saying, but then I don't argue about it anymore, because if I argue about it, the only person I'm hurting is me. And so I step into my power when I go out into my trees, or I walk out into my yard, and I just let all of that, I just visually and spiritually let all of that negativity go. And I come into a place of love in my heart, because I don't have to be right all the time. And that's the way I look at it as well. And so everyone has their own point of view. We're all different. If we were all the same, this would be a very boring, darn place to live. And so we all need to be able to have our point of view, but we don't have to argue about it. And if we don't agree with someone, I'll usually just tell them, well, I don't agree with you, but I respect that you have the right to have your point of view. I have my point of view, you have your point of view. End of the argument, and then I usually wander outside or make a cuppa, because I don't anymore argue, because the only person when you're arguing or anything is yourself. And so you need to think about your soul, your heart, your own energy. And by bringing back to yourself your love for yourself, your respect for your own thoughts. And it doesn't mean that you have to be right or they have to be right. This is all about changing yourself in that moment. And it's about the energy then, later on when you come back in my case anyway, it's all over. We've moved on. And so it doesn't matter anymore, because we both express what our point of view is. We both said we respect your point of view. But then I've got my power back. And we have to remember, one of the important things that I find really important is the fact we cannot change another person. We can only change ourselves. And 9 times out of 10, in the long run, and that could be a day, a week, a year, the other person will change. But we cannot change anyone else. We can't rescue anyone else. And so, that is the way I deal with the situation. And it has really changed in my household by me doing that. It's a completely different relationship to what it used to be.
And that's a great example, because different people have different ways of doing things. And I think that's really important for us to remember, that not everyone is going to benefit from a particular way. There may be a different way. My way may be different to Carol Anne's way. And yet it's about what works for that person, and figuring out your own pathway, Carol Anne. Figuring out, because it takes years, doesn't it?
Oh,
it does. Years to figure out what works for you and what actually doesn't work for you.
Well, this is it. I've been married for 51 years and I'm still here, and he's still here as well. So, something that doesn't mean that over those 51 years that, we haven't had disagreements and things like that. I always laugh when I read a story in the paper. These people have been married for 50 years and they've never had an argument. And I think to myself, oh, that doesn't sound quite right to me. But, that doesn't mean you argue all your life, but you have different points of view, because you are different people. You've been brought up differently. Their upbringing is so different to your upbringing. So, we have to sort of look at all these things and bring balance into our lives.
Yes, absolutely. So I'm wondering now whether that answers your question, Amelia, about different ways of the examples of how you were experiencing non-joyful moments. Okay, then turning into a joyful feeling. Okay, so sometimes for me, yes, Marcy, I will. Oh, when Ingrid's with us, that's awesome. Oh, I love it when you turn up, Ingrid. Sometimes for me, Amelia, what I have learned to do is sometimes to stop expecting joy. If I stop doing this, I feel joy. Oh, I'm not feeling it, so I'm doing it wrong. It's enough to say I'm going to make a decision that I'm going to be okay where I am. And I have shared this so many times before. And the reason I keep sharing it is because it actually was like magic for me. I went from being one of the angriest people you would meet. I mean, I was so toxic. Nobody wanted to spend time with me. And even I couldn't stand my own company. And that was this. I am willing to release that part of me which angers me or upsets me. In my case, it was enrages me when I think of you, either the person or the place or the event, whatever it is. Now, when I first started this, truth be told, I actually wasn't willing. I didn't want to let it go because what had happened, I felt that it didn't matter what language you spoke, it was just wrong. It was wrong, and it was never going to be right. And it was, so I had to work out, okay, how do I do this? Because I don't want to live like this anymore. I'm anxious all the time. I feel miserable all day long. I never stop thinking about it. I never stopped working at how I can make it right, how I can make them see. And it was just eating me alive, Carol Anne. So what I realized was I could say, I am willing to become willing to release that part of me which enrages me when I think of you. And I can even feel it now. That energy of just take a breath. And suddenly there was a little bit of space in my heart where before it was just full of anger. So I did this, I would say, to begin with, at least a bare minimum of 200 times every day. I made it, I was dedicated to it. I really wanted to change my world. Yeah. And the only way to change my world was to change myself, because my world is a reflection of me, right?
Exactly.
So that's what I began to do. And every time that person popped into my mind, every time this situation popped into my mind, I recited it over and over and over. And then I'd say about 3 months in, no, actually probably about 2 months in, I startled myself one day. I laughed. I hadn't laughed for so long. This joyful laugh just bubbled up out of me. And it was the most extraordinary feeling. And I kind of had a shock. And then about 3 months in, I realized, oh my God, I haven't thought about that all day long. And as it popped into my mind, I did the affirmation, the prayer, the release, the surrender. Again, I am willing to release that part of me which angers me. By then I was up to anger when I think of you. And years later, I was able to have a conversation with the person about what had happened. And it turned out that the level of pain they were in at the time, they really thought they were doing the right thing. And I suddenly could see their perspective, Carol Anne. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden, it was no longer personal. It was no longer, well, they've done this to me. This was just another human being doing what they hoped was the right choice in a very, very unhappy and very painful set of circumstances. Mm-hmm. And we went on then. They were the ones, because it involved money, they were the ones that made it possible. I'm going to get really teary for me to publish the angel code with an unexpected gift from their heart. And all they said was, we hope this brings you joy.
There's the key word.
We went from all of that turmoil. So understanding came in, peace came in, enlightenment came in, acceptance came in, communication came in. Is this helping you at all, Amelia? from that one action of making that decision that I was just going to say these words out of desperation, my whole life took an entirely new pathway, bit by bit, incrementally, step by step. It wasn't quick. It wasn't the heavens opened up and all these angels just popped into my house and started singing to me. It was nothing like that. It was much more subtle. And if I hadn't been paying attention, I could easily have missed it all.
Well, Amelia has said yes.
Good job, Amelia. Well done. Fantastic.
So I'll give you my example. I had a very close, say, friend, for the sake of the discussion, who rang me and told me that she hated me and never wanted to speak to me again and didn't want me in her life, and slammed the phone down in my ear. And to say I was shocked was an understatement. And so how I reacted was I just stepped back, took a breath, and I immediately surrounded myself with love. And then I started to send from my heart to their heart a rainbow bridge of love. And so then over the next, I think it was about 2 weeks, I just kept sending love over the rainbow bridge. Love, love, love. And then something came up when I had to contact this person. And so I contacted her, and it was as if nothing had ever happened. She had never said anything. And so to me, by me not reacting and by stepping into a place of love, even though I didn't understand why she had reacted like that, and I just kept sending her love via the rainbow bridge from my heart to her heart, which is something that I use a lot because it's a wonderful tool that we can all use. And then a little bit later, she contacted me again, and she actually apologized, and she said, I was taking what had been sent to me all completely wrong. And I'm so, so sorry that I reacted that way. And so, you know, we all have different ways of stepping back into a place of love and joy. And now the love and joy that this person and I have between us, most days, is just beautiful. We're in contact most days, and it's just beautiful. And so, you know, just love and joy. And I didn't have to forgive her for what she said because she said it from a place of pain and hurt and misunderstanding. And so that was just the way that I reacted, and it's something that's a tool that I use often, and it works for me. So I hope if anybody else uses it, it does for them as well.
Such a beautiful example, Carol Anne. And see, this again, it's one of the things I love about us having this opportunity together. We have different ways to share, and it opens up the conversation. Marcy has said, here we go. Here it is. Love, love, love my family, shadow work, inner child stuff, and the universe put me back in touch.
Oh,
Perfect
wonderful.
time, and I'm back in touch.
That's
See, this is the joy. See, this is deliberate joy on our part right now.
Yeah.
To share that with our audience, because not everyone's going to be able to see, unless you're on our Facebook page or my Facebook page, you won't see any of that. So for us to then have the opportunity, Marcy, Amelia, Ingrid, everyone who shares with us here on Angel Heart Radio, and to make you a part of the program with us, you then become a part of that deliberate joy, a part of that deliberate sharing that we get to do. So everyone on the podcast listening gets to appreciate that and gain value from that as well. We're just so blessed in so many ways. And that's the deliberate joy again. Instead of just saying, oh, Marcy said this, when we are able to, because that's how you and I do it, Carol Anne, is we love to make it a part of the entire fabric of the program. We get so much out of it personally as well, don't we?
We do. And that's one of the absolute blessings of, you know, what we do. And you know, it's about finding joy in everything that you do. It's like we went to the movies yesterday for the first time since before COVID. Well, it's only the second time we've ever been to the movies together, but it's the first time again since COVID. And just the joy of being there and just going together. And then, you know, we need to think about all of the little things in our life that add up together to make our life joyful. And so, you know, in our relationships, in our home, everything, you know, when we love it and we feel joy about it, it just adds a different dimension to our energy. And, you know, to me, sometimes, you know, I might have days that I think, you know, I wonder what I'm supposed to be doing in this lifetime. And then I have another day and thinking, well, golly gosh, Carol Anne, this is what you're meant to be doing in this lifetime. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter who's watching, who's listening, although, of course, we hope you all are. But it's how it affects us in ourselves. It's how it affects our energy and our soul. And it's what we're putting out there to the world. Because when we're walking around out there in the wide world, and our aura is filled with love and joy and kindness and gratitude, then that's affecting every person that we meet. You know, it could be in the people in the coffee shop or the movie theatre or the supermarket. You know, just when you have this beautiful energy, it affects everyone around you. And you know, when we were in lockdown and curfew and all of that, we could at least walk around our block. You know, we were allowed to walk out in our yard and around our block. And the number of people, you know, that we could say hello to, have a great day. And you could tell, you know, everybody was pleased and happy. And I'm one of these people, I walk around the shopping centre and I smile at everybody. And some days you get the strangest looks. But that doesn't matter. It does not matter, because it doesn't matter what anyone else thinks about you. It really doesn't. It's what you think about yourself that matters.
And it matters to others that contact was made with them.
Yeah.
Even if they don't express that.
Definitely.
We've become so used to connecting on a surface level, but being very disconnected on a deep level. And I'd like to share something from the Angel Code, if I may.
Yep.
So this came, I had a bit of confusion going on in 2016, and these messages started coming through in 2001. So there was a period of time between 2001 and 2002 where this stream of information came through, and I took it all down. And I was quite confused, and I've written in the book, again, it's the Angel Code, Journey into the Words Whispered to Me. If you feel any urge to get a copy, get a copy. It's magnificent. And remember, I didn't write this.
No.
This is not me. I did not write this. I took everything down, and it was up to me then to bring it to you, which is what I've done.
Yeah.
So I said, I was a bit confused in some of the messages. So I asked the angels, why do you say we or our when you were speaking to me about me or us and not you. And the angels answered, because, dear child, we are never separate. You are never without us, without we. We exist not only for you, but in you, as you. We are the breath you breathe, the love your heart beats, the gentle you express, the joy you feel. The pain you experience is not felt by us as you feel it in your body or in your mind. It is, however, felt by us as you go through the experience, much the same way as a mother feels the pain of childbirth or a difficult birth of a treasured dream, as a necessary part of the experience, not as the experience itself. As the joy you feel after the journey, after the birthing process, we also feel, and we amplify it for you as the love.
Breathe.
Breathe out, you breathe. It's such an overwhelming feeling of love and gratitude. It is the most magnificent feeling of love I've ever experienced, aside from the love for my children and other, but particularly my children. As the joy you feel after the journey, after the birthing process, we also feel, and we amplify it for you as the love we ourselves experience because of and in response to you, your joy, your love, your happiness, your achievements. We reflect that and more back to you. Each breath you take in peace, love, joy, balance, and prosperity, we magnify that, not only back to you, but out into the world because of you. Because your creation of these expressions are vibrational aspects of your soul. This is added to the vast pool of universal peace, joy, love, and bliss. And you, dear one, are a ripple in that pool. Your experiences of joy infuse each and every ripple, each person, each breath of each person. Whether you recognize it or not makes not one speck of difference. You noticing it is merely a reaction, not to be confused with the action itself. Do you begin to see, to comprehend, to understand, to gain awareness of just how important to the entire universe your happiness, well-being, joy, and song truly is? Think on this and ponder it at length. And until they shared that with me, I had no concept of how important it is for us to have joy as an expression of our lives, ourselves, our being. Why, just how important it is that we are prosperous. Joy is a prosperity energy. And I didn't understand that, Carol Anne. But when they showed me this and I could see how it makes a difference to each and every person on the planet, and that never stops. Once it's out there, it never stops. It continues on and grows and attracts more to it, more people. So be your love, be your light, be your amazing self, right? And in the moments where that feels very difficult, that's okay too. Because as you come through it, and you will, as you come through it, all of the knowledge of what that feels like not to have it, and as you then start to create that in your world, even in the smallest of moments, you have it then. You've done it. You've started it. And you will continue on no matter how long it takes you. It took me many, many, many years. And like Carol Anne said when she was talking about her relationship, she's been in that relationship for over 50 years, right? It didn't just happen, in a heartbeat. So everything like this is important. And that when you were speaking, Carol Anne, I realized that's exactly what the angels were saying in the beginning of the book.
Yeah.
And it just changed my entire being when they showed that to me and shared that with me, because the experience of that is me now.
Yeah. Yes, that is who you are now. And this is when we step into who we really love, the person we really love, the person that we admire, the person that we feel so much happy energy with. And this knowledge of, this is it. I am me. And me is a really, really amazing person. It doesn't, we'll have these little things that come at us over the while. But then that makes us who we are. And, that's why I'm so fond of Carl Jung saying, I am not what happened to me. I am who I chose to belong, to be. Sorry, I'm getting myself all emotional here. Because, life has just been, hasn't exactly, as he would say, a box of chocolates. Life has sort of had some prickles and some spikes along the way. But it's then how we take those experiences, where we go with those experiences, and then to become who we are now. And, I'm sure Anayah is the same as me. I'm hoping to be around for a long, long time to then develop that even more. Because just because we're where we are now doesn't mean we're stopped and not going to grow anymore in a spiritual sense. Because sometimes I find that, just slightly digressing, sometimes I find that's a hard thing for me. Something will happen and I'll think, but I'm a spiritual person. I can see the spiritual reasoning behind what's happened. I can understand why this has happened, whether it's happened to me or to someone else. But that's all part of the learning. It's all part of the growing. It's all part of them becoming even more of who we are. Because let's face it, to be here at this momentous time in Mother Earth's ascension and our own ascension, how blessed are we? So when we get these little prickles that stick in our feet, pull the prickle out, heal that over with love, and then keep going forward in life, because it's really worth it no matter what happens. We are so blessed, and I just love where we are at the moment. I love all the things that are happening in the world, because all of these things were meant to be cleared up. They have to come to the surface to be healed. And sometimes we need to understand that reasoning, because we think, why is all of this happening now? But it's because it's time for it to be healed. It's simmered under there for so long. Now it's coming to be healed, and then eventually to bring joy, peace and happiness into the world, because that's what it's all about.
That's what it's all about. Okay, let's just say it's more than a prickle. Let's just say, something that things have happened in your life that are so incredibly overwhelming to you that you cannot find your way through them. Let's just say, sorry?
Been there, done that.
But the thing is, you know, it's really important to acknowledge that, I feel, as well. For some people, you know, you may be going through something that is so, you might be a lot younger than us, for example. You might be the same age, you might be older. The thing about that is, for me, is every journey begins with a single step. It's about paring things back, because I know when I've been in really desperate situations, and I remember back as a young teenager, I think I was about 14, I remember going out into a big vacant block, out into a field. And I lay down and I looked at the sky, and I felt so incredible miserable, so incredibly unhappy and different. I felt like I was branded. Nobody could understand me. You know, people used to say I was, you know, mental. You're like a mental patient, you know, the way that kids speak to each other. And I felt that way. I felt like I was losing my grip. And I really considered maybe it was time to just finish it all. Maybe that would be the best thing. And it kind of felt like and I've been in that place a couple of times in my life, actually. And both times the same kind of thing has happened, where in that particular time, I know now, I didn't realize then, I know now that angels came to my rescue. And I went to sleep, and I lay there, and suddenly I was in this deep sleep. And they showered me with this incredible love and compassion. And I'd never experienced anything like that. I was 14. I'd never experienced anything like that. And they just kept showering me and wrapping me and loving me and showing me such deep compassion that when I woke up, all those thoughts had gone from my mind. And nothing in my life had changed. I was still completely different to anybody else, because I used to get senses of things. I'd know when things were going to happen. And you know how you're striving to fit in when you're 14. All you want to do is be like everybody else. You just want to be the same and have your group. And I just didn't fit into any group, so I didn't have a group. So I tried other things to make myself part of a group, and none of that brought me any peace, I can tell you. But after that experience, it was like something in me was switched on, Carol Anne. And I realize now that's exactly what happened. That meeting that we had, they began to switch on what it was like to feel love and compassion on such a deep level. And that then began my journey in a whole new way. And yet nothing changed. Things were just as difficult. I was just as miserable and just as lonely. And I was dreadful at school. I was always that kid when the teacher said, hands up who doesn't understand, and my hand would go up every time. The teacher would roll their eyes and go, okay, let me explain it again. And so then I felt even more stupid. So then I became rebellious. And it wasn't until I had an English teacher, and this teacher was so amazing, and I wish I could remember his name. And he related to us in a whole new way, because I was in that class that they put everybody in that they didn't know what to do with. And it was like the dumb class. And we were all highly intelligent, but we were all acting out, right?
Yep.
And so this teacher started bringing in like a record player and Cat Stevens records and lyrics, and what do you think this means? And suddenly we were engaged. We were like, wow, someone wants to know what we think, how we feel. And my first reaction to that was, I don't know. And he said, it doesn't matter if you don't know. It'll come to you. Just listen to it. It doesn't come today. It'll come tomorrow or next week or next month. You're not going to fail this. And for the first time in my life, I was told I was not going to fail at something. So these are the moments, guys, when your life is in it might feel like it's in the toilet, right? The quiet moments that come in, it might just be Carol Anne passing you in the shopping centre and smiling at you. It might be a stranger just sending you a bit of love, and all of a sudden you get a kind of warm feeling for a second. It could be any of that, but take them when they come your way. It might be something you see on Facebook that really makes you feel hope, even flickering hope for a moment. Take it.
Yeah.
Take it like a little bird and say, thank you, thank you, thank you. Come sit on my shoulder. And the movie we saw yesterday that Carol Anne mentioned was Penguin Bloom. If you get a chance to see it, go. Do not delay. See it. A story of profound loss and profound hope and profound transformation, all through a little bird.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was magnificent. Sometimes help comes in the most unexpected way. And this magpie, who had fallen from the tree and was going to die until one of the children found it, would not leave the person who needed her the most, would not leave her alone, would she? She just squawked and squawked and squawked until she had to pay it. She turned up the sound. She had mute. Sometimes help comes in very unexpected ways. So be open to help coming in unexpected ways for you, I guess, is the message.
And you know, if you're meant to hear the message, turning up the music is not going to drown it out, because it's
might delay it, but it won't drown it out.
It's a soul and heart connection, and you know, this is it. It can help and support, and love can come in so many different ways. So be open to how you might receive that, because that's what it's all about.
Absolutely.
Because there's so much out there. Look past the unhappy things that are happening in the world, because when you look past them, you'll see the beautiful joy and peace and happiness. There is so much beauty on this amazing planet that we live on. It's just, we are so blessed to be living on planet Earth. Many other places we could be living, but this is where we're living in this lifetime. So enjoy our beautiful planet. She is amazing.
And even being open to enjoy a simple moment.
Yeah.
One of my girls thinks Slana, she thinks I'm hilarious. I went down in the backyard one day and she said, "What are you doing, Mum?" I'm standing in the backyard with my bird watching binoculars, looking up at the tree. The way the light was coming through those leaves was so amazing. I said, "I'm looking at the way the light's coming through the leaves." And she said, "You're so funny." Mum, you're hilarious. And she says to me, "Don't ever change, Mum. Don't ever change."
Beautiful. That's beautiful.
You know? And she sees her beauty in other ways. She sees the beauty in people. She's an amazing woman. Like, she really knocks my socks off sometimes. So it's not expecting other people to see things the way we do. Because I don't get that people don't see that about the light on leaves or on a blade of grass.
Yeah.
And not everybody does. So that's, again, the acceptance and the disengaging, not trying to and not combating. "Oh, you should see that. Why can't you see that? Look how beautiful it is. It's staring you right in the face," right?
Right.
So it comes back to the same message over and over again. And Ursula, I'm so glad that you joined us for this last part of this program. I hope you'll be able to go back and watch the rest. It's been such a beautiful and uplifting experience, Carol Anne.
It has. It's just been so amazing, and we are just so blessed and happy to be able to share this with you. But I just have to tell you what they were just showing to me, and they were just showing me as you're talking, Anayah, they had me out walking in the garden, and I looked down to look at the grass, and on the grass was a little ladybird, and she was red. And they just said, you know, when we allow ourselves to see the beauty that is all around us, we will step into a place of love and joy and gratitude and kindness. And so, you know, this beautiful little red butterfly was just so important for me today.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a Stevie Wonder song called As, and one of the lyrics in it is, do you know that true love asks for nothing? Our acceptance is the way we pay. And that is a perfect summation of that amazing message, the angels, that I'm so blessed to have read that out to you all from the Angel Code. Thank you so much for being receptive to that. Amelia says it was very beautiful and uplifting, and she says to me, don't ever change, Anayah. Just be your beautiful, authentic self. Thank you, Amelia. Absolutely, and you too. Thank you, ladies. Always a pleasure to watch your shows and experience your beautiful light each week. Thank you for being you. And we love it when you join us, Amelia, and you always ask such relevant, great questions, doesn't she?
Yes, she does. And this is what the content of our show is all about. We might choose what we're going to talk about today, but it's your feedback and your comments that give the bulk, they're saying to me, bring the meat of the situation, the meat in the sandwich. You know, like we're a piece of bread each and you're slapped in the middle, you're the meat in the sandwich. God, haven't they got some strange ways of showing us?
I just love it so much. I really do. It's hilarious. It's so fun and funny. I have to do some funny emojis now in the thing because that is hilarious. I love that slap in the middle. You guys, boom. And it brings us back again to this wonderful card that I drew for the show. Hang on, let me see if you can see it because I'm not used to the whole green screen thing yet.
In front of your face. Yep.
There we go. Thank you for that, Carol Anne. Thanks for teaching me that. Bask in the joy and light, and remembering that a bee only survives as part of a community, a colony, working together to support one another, not trying to fight each other for the job that, oh, well, you've got that job and I want that job. I want to be queen bee. You know, it's about how do we work together in ways that bring benefit for us all so that everybody gets to prosper. Yeah. And I think that when we look at that, and Kyle Gray, thank you for these amazing cards. I love your cards so much. Yeah. The Angels and Ancestors cards. They are so incredibly visually beautiful. It's so rich in energy. Oh, they're incredible. And so I just asked the angels before we started the show, okay, can I have a card for the show? And that's what they gave me. So there you go. Bask in joy and light. And on the days, moments, weeks, months, years where you feel that there's no joy and light in your life, please keep inviting it in and using your power of choice to find even the tiniest little thing, a feather that floats past. I found a feather in my refrigerator.
Yeah.
Right? Then it starts to spark all these amazing things that begin to happen.
Yes, they're just awesome. You just never know where a feather is going to turn up or something is going to turn up that you know they've put there. And so, you know, it's up the relationship with them. And we can, we can go on forever about that. So.
We can. And you know what? Accept the colour of the feather. A lot of people think if it's not white, it doesn't count. Well, guess what? It does.
It does.
It's up to us to accept it and see the beauty in each gift that comes our way. So, guys, thank you so much. Annette McCoy and Janet Hickox had a fantastic show this morning right before ours. And we've got Tibeth Shakura Hamon on Angel Heart Radio now. She's on Sundays in the USA, Mondays in Australia. Who am I missing?
Silver.
Silver will be on. She's on
This
the same
afternoon.
day as us, but every second week. And she does some shows in Italian, some in English, some in both, which is just so cool.
She's awesome. I just love it. And even listening to her when she's doing an Italian show, even though you don't understand the words, you can feel the message, you can feel the love, and you can experience it all.
Absolutely. And I often find I'm hanging on to every word. And both Carol Anne and I have been so fortunate to be on one of Silver's shows when she's translating our English words into Italian for our Italian speaking audience, of which I'm told then if you speak Spanish or Portuguese, you will be able to pick it up anyway. You'll be able to understand it. So if you've got a family member or a friend, let them know about that. So we've got lots of things happening on Angel Heart Radio and more to come, I'm being told in this moment. I feel like there's a male host going to join us this year, which I think would be awesome. All right, guys, we love you. See you next week.
Wonderful show, Anayah. It's been great as always, and thank you to our beautiful audience. And I do think of you more than just the meat in the sandwich. You're the content of this show. We're just sort of directing it along the way.
Love it. I love it. See, small moments of joy. Small moments of joy. Be open to them and embrace them, our lovely, lovely people. We love you. Please take care of yourself and be kind to you. That's where it all starts. It's all about how we treat ourselves. And you know what? The better we treat ourselves, the better the world responds.
Exactly. So remember, you all come back now.
You just love that so much, don't you? Thanks, guys. And thanks for joining us and being your gorgeous selves. Lots of love. Bye. Bye, Carol Anne.
Bye, Anayah.
Oh, gosh, I don't know how to do this. Hang on.
Yes, you do.
I don't know. I'll just end it. Okay, bye.
Bye.
You've been listening to another fabulous program on Angel Heart Radio. Our goal is to remind you of how much you matter in the world and to let you know that we appreciate who you are in the world. You can check out who's on, when we're on, and who our guests are at angelheartradio.com. Everything is there. It's all just one click away. Angel Heart Radio programs are powerful tools to help you in your life and your life experience. They are not intended, nor should they, be used to replace your medical or legal advice.
Powered by love, Angel Heart Radio is brought to you by AngelLight777.com.
The views and opinions expressed by Angel Heart Radio hosts, guests, co-hosts and associates should not be construed as advice from Angel Heart Radio.